My name is Michelle, but most people know me as Shelley. I am from the UK. Don't know if you can tell by the accent. I am a mom of one. I am a PT professional model and I head gymnastics when I am doing my day jobs. And I do bodybuilding as well, as you can see, about to do the Arnold.
That's funny that that's the last thing that you mentioned, because it seems like that would just be like how, like, I feel like that's kind of like how people would assume that you like identify, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. This is what I do, and you just like go and you mention and you list off these other things that obviously are very, very important to your life as well.
Yes, I do believe in balance when it comes to, anything that you do. I've always homed in on family as well. So family first, and then, the rest will fall around it. But I've always stuck to that, hence why the order. And then obviously my profession. But bodybuilding is so new to me. So that's why, in terms of being professional. So this will be my second year. So just getting my head around that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be that new into it and still have the success and the achievements that you do in the sport.
Yes, that's true. Yes. I don't know. I come maybe from a different stance. Because I did gymnastics from the age of 8. And then I followed that on and did acrobatics for only a year. And that was very short-lived. And then after that, I went on to do cheerleading at university, which you know as college.
Yes.
So yeah. And then from there, I then decided, oh, I'll do bodybuilding. So I started bodybuilding at the age of 30. Who knows, might be going through something at that time. But I just remember saying something needs to pop off that year. Didn't know it'd be muscle, but that's what happened. And then here I am, today. So when I first started bodybuilding, I wanted to do something that would challenge me, wouldn't be too pressurizing actually, because as much as I love gymnastics and cheerleading, there were quite a few pressures in that I felt. So bodybuilding is something that I always identify with as fun. Something that I could, join everything that I've done together through the fitness category, which is amazing, and literally just have fun. That is all I want to do and improve from show to show. But in the beginning, it wasn't about doing shows. And for me, it was about literally just having fun, challenging myself, and then progressing. So that's how I see it to this day.
It's interesting when I talk to fitness Olympians and fitness pros, that does seem like they have a lot of fun. Not to say that the other, divisions don't have fun with it as well, but it seems like there's like this added almost like joyfulness about like what specifically fitness has to offer and like the people that are in it. It's been like a really eye-opening experience for me. And does it seem like that to you, that like the fitness division is just like really happy or whatever?
Possibly, yes. I mean, they welcomed me in straight away, and it was like you're welcomed into a family rather than just being welcomed into, a group, I should say. I actually felt a part of them from the beginning. And that's really nice because I haven't felt that way in a sport. Well, gymnastics was basically you're on your own. You do have teammates, of course, but you're pretty much on your own with your coach. And then cheerleading, as much as you're in a team, I should say, setting, and you have your stunt groups, again, it's like you need to do well or else the whole team's after you. So it's like, I don't know, it just felt so nice in that we could all support each other, even though we're doing the same thing, we are going against each other. But at the same time, what we do is hard and we all appreciate all the skills that we all have and that what we're bringing to it. That's actually been very wonderful, I have to say, coming into this.
So kind of going back before you actually started bodybuilding, where did you actually learn about it and who, was it like a thing that you truly just like jumped into? Was there some hesitancy there? How did that kind of start for you?
I'm one of those people that if I decide to do something, I do it. um, when I first joined the gym, I actually literally went past the weights by the way. So I joined. And I thought, yes, this is it. Then I looked at the weights and was like, oh no, oh, there's a trapeze class down the road. So let's go to that. Because the gym was split into the weights and then you have the classes. So you can go to different, buildings. So I literally went to classes for 4 months, didn't lift a weight. It wasn't till June of that year. So my 30th birthday, decided, okay, I want to do something. That was the gym. And it wasn't until June where I decided I'm actually going to lift a weight. So that is what happened. And it was a horrible session, not gonna lie. The first session. And I was like, why can't I do this? I was trembling with the, back squat, the leg press looked alien. I was like, I'm meant to do what? No. But I think it frustrated me so much. I saw it as a challenge and I thought, actually, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna conquer this. And I got into it and it actually became fun. And then before you know it, I was like, yeah, I would love to take this the whole way and see where I go and see what competitions are like. But yeah, it was a very relaxed process for me. It wasn't anything, and no one pushed me into it. No one made any decisions. I literally made a decision for myself to actually go this route, which I'm so happy I did. And then after that, I got then encouraged even more by my partner. And then I have a really good support network. So I think that's important to, just follow my dreams if that's what I want to do. So by then, I think when it came to the end of that year, I already decided that I wanted to reach certain levels. I didn't know if I'll get there, but it was in my head that I was like, right, I'm going to reach there. And then that was it.
What attracted you specifically to bodybuilding? Because within the fitness world, there's definitely different routes you can take, with powerlifting, with, just different fitness sports. Why was it bodybuilding?
So bodybuilding combines anatomy. And I studied at university, biomedical science. So I thought, oh, something that could, incorporate science into it to an extent, if you apply it, and then you can build a desired body that you would want. So that appealed to me, and all the variables that come with it. So I wanted something that would stimulate my mind and challenge me until I'm, pretty old. I didn't want to keep, hopping around. There's only so many things you can do. So yeah, I think that whole process really, fascinated me. And then I thought, oh, okay. And then if I do this and I do that, and there's just so many things you can learn. I'm always learning. So it doesn't stop. And that's what I love about bodybuilding.
When you first got into the sport and you decided that you're going to do it, where did you go for that? You said that you studied, the anatomy and things like that, but where did you go for like specific training advice, diet, prep advice, stuff like that?
So I did have, in the beginning, I had a coach who helped me. So I was with her. So she showed me the ropes. She worked on mindset as well, which was very important. She combined mindset coaching with prep coaching. So I was pretty lucky in that respect because she set me up for pretty much anything. And then I joined my former prep coach, Louise Rogers, and she has been with me ever since. So I've only had the two so far in my short journey.
It's important, I think, for people to hear that like you found somebody that kind of knew what they were doing and had a lot of good things to tell you, were knowledgeable, were kind of teaching you about the mindset stuff as well. Because obviously to be in it such a short time and have the success that you do, you couldn't have done that if you started out just kind of like, or it would have been much more challenging, much more difficult to just be like, let's see what I can find out here on Google. Let's see what I can find on social media, because there's so much information, which is great, but it's so hard to know, like, is this good information? Is this going to work for me? There's a lot of trial and error.
Yes. And research. I love to research. So as soon as I know that I'm going to do something, I'll find out every single thing, literally. So I researched myself. And the coaches that I've had encouraged that. They want me to understand what I'm doing. And I believe everyone should, because I know out there some don't necessarily understand what they're actually doing or what the actual end goal is. And I think you always should know your why, and because that makes it so much easier for you to then, clear the path for you to follow. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've done. Is I had great advice from the beginning through research. So finding out who's the best that can take me on my journey.
And do you feel like you were that client, that athlete who was asking like a ton of questions and, why are we doing this? What is this for? Like just to your coach specifically?
I did ask why. I don't think I was asking why too much, because I would then research myself. And then I'll be like, oh, I know why we probably are doing this. And I'll say to her, and she'll be like, yeah, you got it. That was it. Yeah, I'm pretty chill.
I think that's such a good point too, is like, just because you have somebody too that's telling you what to do, it's your journey. So like if you're learning along the way, you're going to benefit even more with that, because that person, even if you stick with that same person or whatever throughout your whole career, like once your career's done and you go kind of on your own to do stuff, you want to still like have gained some knowledge from that experience. Like, how do I train? What do I eat? If I'm not trying to like compete, how do I take care of my body? All that stuff is really cool because it's part of this bodybuilding journey. But if you're not learning it, like the actual, that side of it, then it seems almost like a little bit of kind of a waste on your end.
Exactly. So yeah, I do believe in learning in anything that you do. And yeah, that's put me in good stead for the sports that I've done, or, careers that I've done. So yes. And then obviously that sets you up, because that means that you're then ahead, because you won't hopefully make too many mistakes or trial and errors, as they say. But we all trial and error anyways along the way, but it just hopefully won't be for long, because you would have learned that maybe this is the way to go forward.
When you decided like, hey, this is the first show I'm going to do, was there any, having the background that you had, you definitely had some experience with like competition and things, but was there any nerves of getting up on stage in this new kind of environment?
No, to be fair, I was just super excited. Obviously, you get the adrenaline rush, but yeah, so I've done so many competitions. Nothing gets more nerve-wracking than standing on a beam and the audience is right here. so, so I've got to do what on a piece of thin wood? Okay. So you know what? And I said to myself from the beginning, I just want to have fun, and the fitness category, just put on a show, and I'm pretty sure that will exude out, and then whatever happens. So the nerves, not so much, adrenaline and excitement, yes.
And how does that impact now, like looking at it? How does that side impact like your performance side of it?
My mindset. So every day I say that I'm going to obviously finish off the day. I always say it out loud to myself, so it might look like I'm talking to myself. But yes, I always say I'm going to finish off the day and I'm going to get to my goals. And that seems to put me, in a positive frame of mind to tackle whatever I need to tackle, depending on where I am, because prep gets hard, we all know, towards the end, especially when you're, doing elements that require a lot of energy and you're on like, very low carbs, for example. But yeah, it's just all mindset, and it's all me kind of training strategically in terms of when I know I have higher fuel days, utilizing that to the max, so that when I have lower days and I know stuff I can do on lower days, I'll do those things. So it's just working out a good plan. I think planning is key to all this.
Do you take care of your own choreography, or like what side of that what role do you play in that?
So my first ever competition with IFBB, I did the choreography. For my year when I became a pro, Whitney Jones does my choreography, and she has been doing it this whole time.
Because it's not like fully coming from your brain, how do you kind of like make it your own, if that makes sense? Like, how do you put your touch on it?
She very much works with you. So all over it is my touches. And she said there's no point in, doing a routine you're not comfortable with. As much as obviously she's there guiding, she will be like, if you want to do that move, let's try and work it in. If that makes sense. To the point where some moves I didn't even think I could even fit into my routine. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. So it's pretty much a team effort. Obviously, she knows, the structure and how it should come together, but all the moves and, the dancing bits and the music and all that, I choose. And then we talk about it and then we put it into action. So yeah, it's good because that means the routine is, my own, which means that I will perform to it. But at the same time, the structure and the way they want it to be presented will be there because, Whitney's done that. So
yeah. And when it comes to like how it is presented, was that any challenge for you as far as like when you first got into it, like, oh, this is kind of how I have to present it. Like I can build it this certain way, then I have to present it this certain way. Was there any kind of like mental block there for you?
I was just getting my head around, the fact that I had to do certain mandatories. So it was kind of like learning a couple new skills from before and then just adapting skills that I already had into the skills that they would like to see on stage. So yeah, it was just adapting, which I was all up for anyways, because I always want new challenges. I always want to learn something new. So I was like, oh, cool. Get to learn something that I haven't done before, which is amazing. And then put it out there. And I never thought I could do that, in bodybuilding. Because when I first started, I really didn't know much about the fitness category. So I'm so happy that I got pointed in that direction.
Because you are so, like you said, you kind of didn't know too much about it coming into it, and you're still like very young into the sport, really, especially being around like the Olympians and really great athletes. What do you feel like you pick up from like show to show? Like, do you feel like you're still learning?
Yes, I do. I think I'm still learning, especially, watching all the different categories, divisions. So it's not just watching fitness, it's just watching everything as a sport. And then talking to everyone, getting to know their stories and their backgrounds, all of that, it's all learning because it's so different to what I've done in the past. So yeah, and I never want that to go away. So I always want to learn, even if I am, they will say I'm at the top, but I still think I have a lot to learn and improve on, and just to keep going forward. That's all I say.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout. If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below. With that being said, like, how do you, after the show, is there a time period when you do reflect and you're like, okay, these are kind of some takeaways from this experience, not just obviously like what the judges might tell you, but what you kind of took away from that experience?
Yeah. So after every show, I do have downtime where I spend some time with my family. And then after that, yes, reflection comes and I look at, what I've done and be like, okay, what's the next goal? I'm very goal orientated. I need a goal. So it might be small, it might just be like I'm walking down the road, but that's the goal. So I need a goal. And once I have the goal in place, then I'll be like, okay, right. So how can I improve, from this show to the next show that I'm about to do? And that's it. So as long as I've improved from show to show, and it could be small, it doesn't necessarily have to be some huge improvement. But if I can do a huge improvement, then great. But whatever I can do to improve, I'll be happy with, because I know that I put in 100%. So
yeah. And you mentioned like getting into the gym at the beginning. You mentioned like getting into the gym, and you had this experience of like a little bit of like weirdness, maybe intimidation, a little bit like, what is it, all this stuff? And then just throughout anybody's gym experience and lifting weights and dealing with that, you see these great leaps of like, okay, my body's more more powerful now, it's stronger. And then the same I think is true with any experience. Like you get better very quickly at the beginning, right? Did it
Yeah.
take you any time at all to have that realization of like, I'm still going to get better in these different areas, but it's going to take me a little bit more time? Like, was that ever a challenge for you?
Not really. Well, I saw it as gymnastics, like learning a new skill, for example, could take took me like 2, 3 years to learn some skills in that. So it could be the same as building a body part, right? So that's how my mind is. So it's one of those things where I will just figure out how I, need to build it. If I need that amount of time, I need that amount of time. But, again, it's all about just improving. So even if I improve a fraction, and I don't quite get to the goal per se, that what counts in my head.
And how do you really kind of measure those tiny, maybe even daily improvements?
Physique wise, through progress pictures, I should say. And routine wise, again, watching, videos back, thinking about my last performances, how I felt is important. So I might have done, for example, I don't know, a press up, and I felt, winded when I did one, but now I don't feel winded when I do two. I'm like, great, we're moving. So, those small wins really do add up.
When you get to the Olympia level and you have this like realization of, okay, I'm here. For you, was it all like whoa, give me a second to kind of process this?
So I had basically a whole year to process it. So I think finally when I got there, I was like, this is what we're doing. But it did take me a while to process it, I have to say, when I got told that I was going to Olympia pretty much straight after getting my pro card. So I was like, right. But again, I had an amazing team behind me. And Whitney, she came to my rescue and not only choreographed my routine, she showed me what the fitness division is all about at this level. So, what exactly is expected of me very quickly, but in a very wonderful way. So, I felt calm. I didn't feel frazzled or anything like that. And if I needed to talk, I could talk about anything, and the support was there. So I'm really grateful for that, because I think that's what put me, a good stead at the Olympia as well, because I got to know exactly what was required. But as for myself, I didn't really have any expectations. I just thought not a lot of people get to step on the Olympia stage. Just stepping on the stage is something right now. Just making it there. So I was just excited. I just wanted to show everyone what I've been working on and my performance. And then I was like, after that, everything's a bonus. As long as I enjoyed all the moments, and I did.
Did it feel weird whenever you thought about like people are watching me and people are looking up to me, and even on like social media, people are like seeing me as this Olympian athlete, right? Does it feel weird because you're in that position, but you're also maybe even still looking up to people who are you're competing against and being like, yeah, but I'm still learning from these people too?
No. No. I've always been in my following my own lane. I don't sit there and watch them and be like, I wish I could. No, not in any sport I've done. So again, I've just always been focused on just improving from whatever I've done to the next phase and having fun. So as much as, yeah, I know there's a lot of people now watching and, they probably might have expectations of me, but to be fair, I don't actually care. So, it's my journey at the end of the day. So yeah, I just want to make sure that it stays that way and nothing influences how I feel about it. I mean, at some point I was like, I am new to bodybuilding. I said that, if someone came to me and asked me for advice, but they would then be like, I know. So I'd be like, okay, I mean, if they came to me for a reason, I should, I give out that advice. But I also state, what state I'm in terms of whatever sport it may be. Because I don't just get advice from bodybuilding as well. So yes, but I want nothing more but to inspire others, especially to follow their dreams, go after wherever you want to go after. So if they send me a message and I can help with that, I'll be happy to do that.
And then going back to what you said at the very beginning about like having all of these kind of things within your life, right? Your family, your job, like how does that, because so many people, I feel like that's even just one of those things, like I don't have time to do something within my life because I have this busy schedule. I have a kid, I have this busy job or whatever it is. What would you say to that?
Since I was younger, my mom's always said, number one, there's options. And number two, if you really want something, you'll make it work. And if I really want something, so I always ask myself, do I really want this? You'll make it work. Not saying it was going to, just fall into your hands, but from there, you can then make a plan of action to go forward. And to be fair, I never put a time on it. I just thought I'll make a plan to get to this goal. And however long I take, because obviously I know there are things that could get in the way, maybe not, maybe I can work around it. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm going to get to that goal.
Having kind of like because it seems like you have this like no pressure kind of feel to bodybuilding, right? It's like I'm putting a lot of effort into it, obviously, but I'm not adding that additional stress. Do you feel like there's a lot of just from what you see, do you feel like there's a lot of competitors out there who may be adding too much pressure and too much like added stress to their situation on things that they don't have really any control over?
Yes, and I find it quite, when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's, they shouldn't have so much stress, especially if you like love something or you want to do something. And I always encourage others, especially if they come to me, like, how can we eliminate the stresses so you can do what you would like to do? That's just it. Because bodybuilding is something that you decided to do. So that means you really want to do it. So you shouldn't be stressful. As soon as something becomes stressful, that's when you need to look at it and think, do I really want to do this? Or is there other factors getting in the way that could, possibly be removed? Or, there's options where, things can be juggled around to make that work. So that's what I think should be done.
What do you feel like is pushing you? What do you feel like is like driving you or lighting that fire within you to get that thing done that you might not necessarily want to do in that moment?
That's the thing, though, because I actually want to do it. I want to do all of it. That's the thing. So there's not been a time where I necessarily don't want to do it. Not saying that I'm not tired or, there's days when you're like, oh, wow, this is a long day. And now I've got to work out. But as soon as I do that first rep, I'm just into it. And that's how I know this is something I should be doing.
It's really interesting to see people kind of do it their own way.
Oh, yeah. Well, that keeps me happy. So
what do you do to I guess help your body recover and keep yourself as healthy as possible?
So I actually do go for regular massages in rehab. So every time if I have a twinge or any sort of ache or something out of the ordinary, I pretty much try and get it sorted straight away, or at least know what needs to be done to get it sorted, because not everything can be done straight away. I've always been very into that since a young age. I've been taught to look after your body. Even if you get injured, look after it properly, make sure it heals well before you, decide to go back on it. So that's kept me in sports for a very long time. And recovery, also, if you need rest, do take that rest. But obviously, if you feel good to go, then you're good. I always believe in, intuitive training. Yeah, I used to do. And now it's a bit more planned, obviously, because I'm working towards big competitions. But I used to do quite a bit of intuitive training. So if I feel good, I train. If I feel that bad, I don't train and I recover and then I feel good.
Something that you mentioned that's really interesting is this aspect of making sure that you kind of get the rest that you need. And being so, like, I feel like you're very passionate about bodybuilding. How do you kind of like manage your excitement for it and your passion for it while also knowing that you need to take that rest and recovery?
I know that, let's say, for example, I have that nap or I'm going to bed, that I'm going to wake up very soon, because these things don't last long, and I will have the next day where I can do more. It's part of the process, so I need to get my rest. And, it means a better day, a better training, better recovery, everything just gets better from there. So I'm one of those that if something, gets results, I will do it, and sleep does. So You don't want to put in all that hard work and then not recover properly, or, you know, when you're sleeping, your muscle tissues, you know, can grow sufficiently, utilize all the nutrients you put in, you know, all that. You do all that nutrition, all that weight training, and then you don't get enough sleep, and then you're not utilizing what you've done. So, no, I believe we need to finish off the process.
Yeah. And then looking into this this upcoming season, what are some of the things that you're looking to improve on and get better in, as far as, you know, all the aspects, the training, maybe the preps and the diets, and maybe just the performance side as well?
Performance wise, I decided, because bodybuilding is now turned into a profession for me, which is super exciting. So I wanted a hobby again. So I decided to try out tricking. I don't know if you heard of tricking. A little stem off of Cali. So I'm gonna do an intensive class on that, or classes, I should say. It's a course. So they have beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So I'll do beginners for 6 weeks, then go on to intermediate, then go on to advanced. So thought that'd be quite fun. And then once a week, cardio wise, I'm going to be doing a contemporary class, because I did do some dance, I did ballet, and touched on contemporary, but I wanted to actually try it out in a class setting and see how that goes. So yeah, those are the two new things I'll be doing in my off season, as well as obviously still training, still trying to, you know, home in on the things I need to improve on in terms of my routine and also the physique. I always think that, I don't know, you shouldn't have if you want to do something, you should not have excuses. You would want to make it work at all costs. And again, if that's not in your head, then, you know, I don't know, you should be doing whatever you're doing. So you remain positive, and you move forward at your pace. That's another thing I realized quite a few would, you know, just home in on other people's lives. And I'm like, why, when it's your life? You know, or they will say, I'm not doing this because that person, or, you know, people have said, oh, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, they live in your life? No. So, you know, whatever you want to go after it. And the rest will come together. That's what I always say. You know, it's just actually doing that, you know, that leap that I think a lot of people fear for, but it's thinking, why are you fearing that leap? Because you're only just going to start a journey that could, you know, end up being great. So go for it.
I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, though. It was really great getting to chat with you.
I appreciate you having me as well.